What is going on, guys? Jack here, and welcome back to episode number 7 of The Rise of a Nation, here with FC Edmonton in the Canadian Premier League. Hopefully you guys are doing good. It is the end of September. Today we have got an El Clasico on our hands. We are going to be taking on our bitter rivals in Cavalry FC. I thought we'd start on my manager profile screen. Obviously, I don't know if I've shown this screen actually now I think about it, but all our attributes were just set up to be recommended for this level. Obviously, you can see here I put a lot into determination and a little bit into level of discipline and motivating. I feel like determination obviously helps you get through board requests, and then when it came to attacking coaching, just good attacking and tactical, a little bit of technical and a little bit of working with youngsters in there as well. But yes, the good news here is that we've signed a new contract at the club. Our contract was initially a 1-year deal. We've got a further 2 years on it. So that is really, really good news. You know, the fact that basically the team are pretty happy with my leadership so far. And well, if we just look here at the Canadian Premier League and manager movements, you can see here there has been a lot of coming and going. Jim Brennan's been sacked over at York 9. You can see here Forge have sacked their manager. Cavalry have got rid of their manager as well. There has been a high turnover as of late. And, well, the good news is that we are not going to be one of those people. So, well, good to see us, I guess, hold on to our position in the side. Anyway, since you were last here, there has been a fair few games played. We're going to go through most of these, but not all of them, because there was quite a few. You can see, obviously, last time out we took on Valor. Since then, 7 games played, 3 victories, all of these in the league, 2 draws, 2 defeats. It's okay. It's not fantastic, is it? You can see we started things out with a game against York 9. We lost this 3-0. Gattas, Gasparotto and Kyle Porter with the goals for York 9 there. And well, it was disappointing to say the very least. That was not a rotated team that played that match either. Anyway, the good news was we had a chance to make amends playing against York 9. And well, we started off the scoring with a fantastic little chip by Justin Yard. What a finish this was by the young player. Son then scored in the 29th minute for us. And it was 3-0 not that long after. Yard with his second goal of the game straight into the second half. And you were sat thinking, man, we've turned a corner in this game. You know, Deshays, the young playmaker, he's got 3 assists. Little did I know what was to happen. Michael Cox opened up the goal scoring through 8. Somewhat fortuitous effort. Gattas then grabbed a goal in the 64th minute. And then who else was it going to be but the player who is set to join us come the end of the season? Ryan Telfer out on that left midfield position. He's been a blooming pain in the arse as our future player. He scored again, this time in the 90th minute. And well, with that, we had to settle for a draw, which was not exactly ideal. I mean, you can see Telfer here again. Since he scored against us a few last time, he's not actually scored since. He just likes playing against us. Maybe it's something about seeing the Edmonton kit. Maybe that will spur him on to play well for us. Anyway, that was not the last of the high-scoring games, and having got 6 goals in that game, you can see we went into a game against Cavalry FC away from home, and this one finished 5-2. Interesting little game, this one. Edwini Bonsu got us off to an absolute flyer in the second minute, out on that right-hand side, coming in to the back post. Osorio then got a goal for us, so, well, good to see our 2 wide midfielders scoring in this game. Spoilers, Edwini Bonsu did go on to get another, but yeah, our right and left midfielder traditionally in this system haven't done so well. They did pull 1 goal back through Oliver, but then a flurry of goals at the start of the second half. I guess I say a flurry. There was one. Sarkaria got us 3-1 up, then Lincourt Joseph grabbed another. And, well, 4-1, started to breathe a bit of a sigh of relief. They had just sacked their manager, so going into this game, I was a little bit worried of what was to happen. Lincourt Joseph, by the way, his free kick in this game, one of the goals of the season as far as I'm concerned. What a free kick it was. Unfortunately, we couldn't limit them to 1 goal. They grabbed one through Jose Escalante, and as I mentioned, Edwini Bonsu with a goal in the 85th minute meant that we did run out. Fairly comfortable victors in the end. Anyway, the next game we had was against Pacific FC. You can see we lost this one 2-0. It was a tricky game. It was a close game, but yeah, we just didn't quite hit the ground running away from home against Pacific, a team who, you can see, last time we met them, we beat them 5-1. This time we just didn't really turn up. And I was a little bit scared, I was a little bit nervous, because the next game we had was against Halifax Wanderers. They were top of the league, and doing pretty well. As you can see by this scoreline, it went to plan. It was probably the best way to describe it. Off the back of that Pacific result, I was pretty annoyed. Pacific, going into that game against them, had won 2 of their previous 5. So I felt like they were very, very beatable. So to come undone against them was poor. Playing the team who were top here in Halifax, it was a great hat-trick for Sarkaria. His 3rd goal in this game, or rather the 3rd goal in this game. It might have been our 3rd. I can't remember if it was the 3rd goal in the game or our 3rd. It was our 3rd. It was Sarkaria's 2nd. I remember it now. Goalkeeper calamity, to say the very least. He grabbed his hat-trick off the back of that. It was a little bit of a gift. But make no mistake, we were very, very clinical in this game. Lincoln Joseph chipping in with a goal. Mortozzi with 2 goals in the space of 6 minutes from the centre of the midfield was pretty good. Kareem Moses also grabbed one from the penalty spot. They did get a few goals in this game. Disappointing again that we couldn't really keep a clean sheet. But, well, nevertheless, when you come up against the team who are top of the league, a team who there is a reasonably good chance we will play them again come the end of the year, it was always going to be important to get a good little result against them. Anyway, you can see the next game we had here against Pacific FC ended 0-0. It was a close game. Perhaps we had the better of the opportunities, but definitely not one to really write home about. And in our next game, we took on Valor. Now, we played them on the 22nd of the 9th. Last episode, they beat us. You might remember it. And, well, they went into the Canadian Championship final to take on Whitecaps. In the first leg of that game, they won 1-0. Yes, Marco Bustos grabbed the goal from him, and I was sat there thinking, my word, if a Canadian Premier League team wins the Canadian Championship, the Voyagers Cup, you know, the first season, I'm going to look like a fool. I've done extensive testing of this database. In all of my tests, Canadian Premier League teams won this competition, I think, 5 times in over 150 years of various tests going forward. It just doesn't happen. And one of the reasons it doesn't happen is because the games are over 2 legs. So whilst they were able to, you know, win somewhat against the run of play against Vancouver in the first leg, you can see in the second leg, the crippling reality of the situation was pretty evident. They were all over them, Vancouver, as you can see here. By far and away the better team. And, well, ultimately, not entirely surprising that Valor did come undone in that game. And, well, the reason we're talking about Valor is because we played them. We beat them 2-1. Lamotte and Moses with the goals for us. And, well, today we go into the last of the regular season games that I think we'll do before we go into the big playoffs next time out. We're going to be taking on Cavalry in the last El Clasico of the season. You can see here, just looking at the league table for this current stage, Halifax look very, very good, very much worth their lead at the top. You can see they've only lost 2 games in 14. That is crazily good. Ourselves, on the other hand, we've been a little underwhelming. A good result here against the team who are bottom could see us, you know, close the gaps on the likes of Pacific FC. But, well, I think the reality has been that so far this stage, we've not really run away with it. Anyway, there has been a few other little bits of goings-on off the pitch. The one that I'm most excited about, and this might be a bit of a weird one, I don't think it's that weird, we have a new affiliate. We have partnered up with the University of Alberta. It's a senior affiliation where we are obviously the senior team. We can send players on loan there. We have first option to sign their players. We'll have to see if they get any good regens through the years. Their current best player, Aaron Haber, not the greatest. But I do feel like potentially an affiliation of this sort is the kind of thing that could one day happen in real life between the teams. Although I do know there is the university drafts of sorts. Of course, we can't get that accurately done in the database. But just an interesting little partnership, which I think is you know, a good one to have with a university based in the city of Edmonton. The other bits of news just going on, really, there hasn't been a great deal. But one thing that I've got scribbled down on my notes is the fact that Marcelin, his physicals are just falling off a cliff. Now, he has turned 33 recently. Obviously, we've brought in Chandel Senior, to be his replacement. And Chandel Senior might need to start making the step up in that position. We kind of brought this guy in as a potential ball-playing centre-back, but also a player who could definitely play ball in a midfielder. If Marcelin's physicals continue to drop off as they have been, I am concerned. I mean, you can just see the general drop-off here. His acceleration has dropped by 1 point in the last 2 months. Not entirely surprising that a player of his age is struggling, but his speed is definitely one of his big strengths as a player, and I do worry that without that, he might not be the craziest player in the world for us. You can see a little overview in terms of player stats here. It's kind of been really solid. Justin Yard got that fantastic little chip goal against York 9, has been very good, the young forward. I feel like the striker position is the one where I'm pretty happy with our balance. You know, I have been thinking ahead to next season. Of course, we've already agreed signings of Kading Chung and Telfer. Also a few players who I've just been eyeing up, really. I do play with a tribute masking off for the sake of this database. But yeah, just looking at a few potential Jamaican signings. Shandell Senior, obviously a player of this nature. These guys look okay. I have a horrible feeling they're going to want too much money. The other player who I've been looking at is this guy, Vualetto. And I actually stumbled across him because I was just looking through the national teams, you know, for different teams in North America. If we look at, I think it was the under-23s, yeah it was. I was looking at Decas here as a centre-back option. I originally thought we'd bring in Shandell Senior to be a ball-playing defender, but I feel like he's probably going to be a more likely replacement for Marcelin. So with that in mind, I was thinking, man, maybe I need to get in a new centre-back, someone who can actually really play with the ball at his feet to be a long-term successor to Soria. Wesley Decas here is the player who I stumbled upon. He was someone who my scouts actually recommended, and as a result of that, I was just kind of looking through some of the other players in his team, and Derrickson here was just the player who stood out. I have a horrible feeling they're going to want too much money, but I think it's just worth noting the fact that I am continuing to look at ways we can improve the team within our budget. I am looking at younger players here. And, well, in terms of positions, you can see here, I'm looking at potentially a striker or maybe a centre mid. I actually think out of these players, Alex Marshall is the player who I like the look of the most. Although they would all be pretty good additions to the team. We have got to consider, you know, the foreign player limit that we have. We currently have 5 foreign players in our team. But, and I'll say this now, I don't know how much longer Asua's going to be here. If you know, Chung joins us in the winter and looks good, I think Asua might be a player who we let go. I feel harsh saying that, but that's kind of the reality of it. And also Son, who I feel a bit sorry for because I feel like he's really underrated in Football Manager. Having watched him play, he's a very versatile player, but in Football Manager terms, he's not that great. And he's just not been putting in the best ratings for us. He's the smiling assassin, and I don't want to make him sad. But he does occupy a precious foreign player spot. And I do wonder if looking at players, you know, in their early 20s, late teens, players who could really add a bit of young hunger into the team, maybe that's the way to go. I don't feel like we're going to be massively overhauling the team during the off-season, but obviously we are going to have a 23-man squad limit to fit an entire team into. And if players haven't really been playing that much, it's difficult to justify keeping them in the team. But anyway, let's get into today's game in the El Clasico. In terms of the team, this is what we're going to go with. It's slightly different to what you might be used to seeing us play. And that's because we're going to play Lamont at centre mid on, advanced playmaker on attack. Lincoln Joseph is going to play out on the left wing for us, the 24-year-old. The rest of the centre of the midfield, you can see we've got Mortozzi, Marcelin, obviously. Edwini Bonsu has finally been finding some form as of late, which is really good news because he has been a little underwhelming recently. Prior to recently, I guess, really. But he's been chipping in with goal contributions. We'll keep an eye out for him. Diallo is currently, I think, 9 games without a goal. He was our big kind of goal-scoring prospect, and he's completely gone off the burner. It's probably unfair on him to an extent because some of those appearances have been on off the bench, but he has been pretty disappointing even when we've given him chances. The good news is that Tommy Amiobi and Sakaria have really been chipping in with goals, and with the support of the midfield as well, they've done a great job for us. At the back, of course, we've got Connor James in goal. Not that long ago now, he signed, of course, that new contract at the club. His leadership training, he's still got 7 leadership. He'll get there. He'll be our captain one day, maybe. The rest of our team, you can see here, we've got Moses out, obviously, at the left. He's not showing too many signs of decline. Still only 29, so I'm hoping he's got a few years left in him. Tem Guia, we, of course, have available. An unsung hero, I feel like, this guy at right centre-back. If we just look at the star ratings, Didic actually has a higher star rating than Tem Guia. But if I just compare them, it's just one of those situations where I have to respectfully disagree with my assistant. I prefer Tenguia with his acceleration, with his overall just kind of better ability when it comes to tackling and marking. Positioning obviously is pretty evenly matched, but the physicals as well Tenguia has in his favour. playing in the wider areas of the centre-back position, in a three-man, back line. He is often going to be, having to try and contain perhaps a pacey winger. I favour him to do that job over Didic. And he really has done that job for us. Of course, Soria in the centre, not entirely surprising there. He's been very, very good for us this year, the Spaniard. And, well, that's kind of the team we have for today's game. On the bench, of course, we've got options. Osorio is the player to make way in the team. With Lamotte coming into the starting 11, Osorio's kind of found himself slipping down the pecking order. Bruno Zebi can now play left and right midfield. He's grown up so fast. He's learned how to become a versatile winger, which is what I needed him to become, and he's been pretty good for us. Jonathan Valle as well just looks very, very solid for us. He actually has the highest pass completion in the team. If we need a player to come on, slow down the play, he's our man. You can see we've also got Son, Chandel Senior, and of course Diallo on the bench. And well, we're at home for this game. We're taking on Cavalry. They are bottom of the league. It's the last battle of Alberta for the season. Can we set ourselves up in good stead? End the regular season live commentaries on a high and going into next episode, which is going to be a massive, massive game, that Canadian Championship final. Can we get the result that we desire against Halifax in that game? That's the question we'll answer there later, tomorrow. But for today, the question is, can we defeat Cavalry? For a second there, I kind of forgot where I was going with my commentary, but we'll get into the game. We'll see how we get on. Our form has been pretty hit and miss. We're playing a very, very strong 11 for today's game. I'm hoping it's a strong 11 that is capable of dispatching of Cavalry. A side who we beat 5-2. Lamotte's twisted his knee. That is not an injury I want to mess around with. I tell you what, we're going to move Lincourt Joseph into the middle and we're going to bring in Osorio out on that left-hand side. Not too crazy a change there. This is pretty much what we considered our strongest 11 at the start of the year. I have really, tried to rotate the team around, give everyone opportunities. But with the exception of the left midfield position with Osorio, I haven't really got that many complaints when it comes to our starting 11. I feel like the 11 players I identified as our best 11, for the most part, have put in performances this season to really back up that evaluation of them. Anyway, this game is 0-0. Boys, I'm not very happy. Can we step it up here? Of course, it has been a long time since the last episode in terms of, the number of games we've played. But with us going out the Canadian Championship, I really wanted to get towards the tail end of the season. This game comes up at a nice time for us. It gives us a chance to, talk about some of the goings-on, as you've seen from the matches. There's been some pretty eventful ones with some pretty good goals in them. And we'll hope that we can have a few good goals today as Edwini Bonsu picks up on the right-hand side, lays it off to Lincourt Joseph, who hits it. Lovely, lovely goal by him. Started out on the left wing, due to injury, shifted into the position he really has shone in this year, that centre-mid position in the team. Great to see Edwini Bonsu picking up the assist as well. He gets the ball here at the edge of the 18-yard box, brings it forward, lays it across. Lincourt Joseph takes a very quick shot there, a very early shot. I feel like it caught out the goalkeeper who was, very flat-footed, Carducci, who actually is a very good goalkeeper. I mean, you can see here, he looks really blooming good, but we made him look distinctly average with that finish there. Anyway, an hour gone, a goal to the good. We'll look to build off that now. We have got a few bookings, which is concerning, but not entirely surprising in the derby. As Sarkaria has an effort, hits the woodwork. Edwini Bonsu gets it to Tommy Amiobi. Shambolic defending. But, we are the beneficiaries, and for that reason, we will not complain. Sarkaria's long shot from range seemed maybe a little over-ambitious. Maybe it was just, asking a bit too much, but somehow it hit the post. It fell generously to Edwini Bonsu, who doubles his assist tally for the game. Amiobi with his 11th goal of the season. And, things are going good. I feel like in a game like this where we're winning, it's a good opportunity to maybe bring in Diallo and get rid of that goal-scoring issue he is having as of late. Marcelin's on a booking as well, so I'll tell you what, we'll bring in Chandel Senior for him. Give the young Jamaican youth international a chance to show us what he's made of in that ball-winning midfielder role. As I said, there's a bit of a pressure on his shoulders. There's already a little bit of that, I feel like, for any international player who joins us to take up one of our foreign player spots. But he's got some big boots to fill in, Marcelin's boots, over the course of the next few years. I do see him as the long-term solution there. And it's games like this where it's just good to give him a bit of game time to get used to the role, play it at match level in a relatively low-risk situation. You can see we're winning this game 2-0. Pacific were playing Halifax in the one of the other games in the Canadian Premier League on this day. That is, I believe, a first versus second or first versus third, as it may be the case now, tie. You might have noticed it finished 4-1 to Halifax. That is how good they've been this year. And actually, with that result, I mean, I think they might have even guaranteed themselves at this point the game against us. They may well have just locked themselves in as being our opposition come the end of the year, which is interesting. We'll send our assistant here. Edwini Bonsu was player of the match. That is good. A few of those offers have been accepted on players I was bidding on. We are already in the process of scouting them. I don't know how much I want to pay for a player like Violetto, but I don't want to pay £2,800. I'm going to walk away from that one. Daly, he looks good. He's only 18 as well, although he is about to turn 19. If we just compare him to Violetto, you can see the comparison here. He probably is the better player out of the two of them. He's done pretty well at the same level as Shandell Senior, who, to be honest, has hit the ground kind of running. And in a similar way to Shandell Senior, plenty of 10s across the board. The question is, how much is he going to want a week on the wages? We'll say we'll make him a rotation option. Alex Marshall wants £1,600 a week. We are not having a minimum release clause in your contract. We can get rid of that now. You can see the fee for these Jamaicans is very, very low. Alex Marshall here, just £1,000 we're offering. Violetto, on the other hand, was £160,000. So young Jamaicans looking like value in the market. The question is Alex Marshall going to be interested in signing a deal that's going to need to be made up of some compromises? I can't justify making him one of the highest earners at the club. I do really, really like the look of him. He is left-footed. He could potentially be a left winger for us. If we just compare him to Lamotte, that's probably a good comparison to draw. I mean, you can see the difference there. Two similar players in terms of the positions they play. Obviously, one is a young Canadian, the other one is a Jamaican youngster. Both, though, very capable of playing that advanced playmaker role in the team, and it's a role that could prove pretty important for us. We have also got Deshays in the team, who can play that position, but he is only 16. I mean, let's compare Deshays to Alex Marshall. I mean, you can see there, there's not a world of difference, but Marshall is definitely the better player. And I'm still worried about with Kevin here, the fact that he is inconsistent, he is injury prone. There is some concerns to be had there. And also, just not great stamina, really. 9 stamina is not the craziest. I didn't actually pay attention to what Marshall's is. See, he's got 9. World of difference, the difference between 9 and 10. Also, Marshall's already a Jamaican international, which definitely bumps up how much I would like him. I mean, we have got a fair bit of transfer budget left over, so I could, you know, significantly increase the agent and signing on fees here to 80,000. We can increase the goal bonus as well, I feel like. He really wants a 2-year deal. I'm going to lock in the 3-year deal and the 1.2k and see what he says. He wants a year wage rise. That ain't happening, Chief. Wage after reaching league games. He wants a big rise there. That ain't happening. I'll tell you what. Let's up the agent fees to 100,000 and see what he says. He wants even more. See, this is the kind of player where I feel like the scout report is going to determine whether or not I really want him. Because he looks good, but until the scout report comes in, it's difficult to make a judgment call. I should really get the scout report on him as well. Apparently I missed him off when I was doing Violetto and stuff. Let me know what you think of him. Would you sign Alex Marshall? I know we have a few similar players to him, but he's an international. I think the big crux actually is when we get the scout report back, how good is he? Does he have potential to improve? He is only 21. He's going to be 22 kind of soon. But he has got a good pace. He's a very well-rounded player. He's pretty versatile as well. I do wonder if we could maybe train him to play left midfield. in that regard, he might then become a pretty comparable option to Lincourt Joseph. And if we compare these two guys, he is definitely better than Lincourt Joseph in a lot of different areas. It's a dilemma for sure. The money that we're offering him, £1,200, puts him in the same ballpark as Tommy Amiobi and Edwini Bonsu. But the good news is that we do have, you can see here, lots of wage budget free. Every team has a similar budget, I'll say that now. Earlier on in the year, you might remember that we were the highest spenders. If we just look at team stats here, you can see that the salary per year, we are the second highest paid. Forge have like massively increased their salary per year recently. They've made a few recent acquisitions that sees their salary per year be one of the biggest, and that's going to be something that we will experience with Forge because they do have the biggest stadium. I mean, if we could look here, 24,000 seater. Plenty of people are going to be able to go to their games over the coming years as hopefully the league grows. I imagine they're going to be a team with more money than most to throw around, particularly compared to ourselves with a 6,000 seater stadium that we do fairly consistently get close to selling out. But anyway, I'll leave the dilemma with you guys. What would you do? Would you be interested in these players? I have been looking at Cavalier in general. They look like they've got some very good players, like this guy, Paris, who, as you can see, we already have a scout report on. He looks very good. There are just some very good players here. I was wondering for a second why we have scout reports on these players, but when I click on them, I don't have the reports. And I think I know the reason why. One of our scouts got poached by an MLS side. I don't know how you show outs. Can you do transfer history staff? You can see here, one of our scouts got blooming taken by DC United. Livid. Wasn't even here a year. Treacherous Enzo. Anyway, I'm getting annoyed at Enzo now. It's not a good look. Jeff, do you want to join us yet, Jeff? No. Maybe next season? I mean, the door's always open for you, Jeff. Know that. There's always room for you in my heart. Anyway, I've rambled on for long enough. Let's wrap things up here. Let me know what you make of the current transfers kind of dilemmas. With 3 games left of the regular season, we will be back next episode for the playoff, which looks very likely to be against Halifax. It's not going to be an easy game, despite the fact we have beaten them fairly convincingly in the league not that long ago. We did also draw against them. We're yet to play them away from home. We actually do so on the last day of the regular season. It should be a good one, and well, hopefully I will see you guys for it. If you have enjoyed today's video, do drop a like on it, of course. I'll see you again soon. It is me, Jack, and I will talk to you guys in a bit. I'm out.